Mandy accuses Joe Budden of signing her to a bad deal and also says that Ian is the one that runs the Joe Budden network. That's right, Mandy just did an episode of The Need to Know, and she got to a lot of stuff where she talked about her breakup with Bridget, but she also took some shots at the so-called podfather. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down this episode, and later on I'm going to talk about Savon possibly shooting at me. Oh, Savon, I got something for you, but stay tuned, y'all. So let's get right to it. So in this episode, I think the biggest highlight is Mandy saying that Joe Budden tried to sign, well, he didn't try, he signed, see, the thing is, to a bad podcast deal, one where Joe Budden would get lifetime profits from See the Thing Is, and also, if like they did a TV show, Joe Budden would still make money. But I think what was interesting about what Mandy said was that she wanted to end See the Thing Is to kind of get away from that deal she signed with Joe. Now, she didn't say that when she was breaking up with Bridget. Oh, okay. Then Mandy says that Ian Schwartzman is the person who truly runs the Joe Budden network. Now, it's funny because I feel like a lot of people believe this, that Joe Budden is kind of the figurehead. Flacco has said this from No Jumper. Now Mandy is saying this from No Jumper. So I wonder if Joe Budden feels comfortable with that narrative. I mean, this guy's the king of narratives, but it seems like there's a new narrative about Ian being the puppet master after all. Then Mandy says something interesting. She says that the only podcast network left is The Black Effect. Now, could that be her just being self-serving because she is signed to The Black Effect now and her deal with Joe Budden has dissolved? I mean, let's be honest. I mean, The Black Effect Network is anchored by iHeart. So that's kind of not the same thing, right? Charlamagne essentially gets to go to established podcasters and be like, hey man, you really signing with iHeart anyway, just give me the deal, I'll put some ads on your show. Whereas Joe, he was creating IPs from the bottom up. There's a big difference. And I think Mandy is just catering to who she has a deal with. She also goes on to reiterate some of the same talking points and criticisms that she's had about the Joe Budden podcast, saying that there's too many mics and two of those hosts don't speak. After that, she gets into a time when See the Thing Is was leaving the Joe Budden network, and she tried to get Joe to accept her taking Savon and Alex with her, but Joe Budden said, hell no. Savon and Alex, you either join the Joe Budden podcast or you join See the Thing Is. And because Joe Budden paid way more than Mandy, they had to make the choice to stay with the JBP. Now, Mandy says, looking back in hindsight, that she felt bad, but now that she understands, she kind of feels like, oh, Joe Budden was right. With what she went through with Bridget Kelly and stopping her from using her studio, she understands why Joe did not want any resources from his show to go to her show. Also on this episode, Mandy gets into the breakup between her and Bridget Kelly, saying that she feels insulted that Bridget labeled her as admin. That's right, y'all. Apparently saying someone is admin is a really bad thing. Then Mandy says she would never do a partnership again because of her fallout with Bridget. Funny thing happens here because Reggie, one of the co-hosts of The Need to Know, interjects and says Alex and Savon have a partnership and it works. Now, we have to really look at this. It's just interesting. Oh, Reggie, you're being real nice. The way you said that Alex and Savon have a partnership. Not you. Oh man, I mean, it's cool, but I just noticed Reggie isn't a partner. I understand that, but hey, just pointing that out. Then Mandy says she didn't really know Bridget in a working capacity, and that the tour they did together was the end times for their time as co-host. That's right, tours often break pods up. Just remember that with Rory and Mal, one of their biggest issues was the tour payouts. Remember, Mal was really questioning why Joe was paying out different for certain instances. And after that, Mandy says Bridget wanted to lean on the friendship component, but she was unprofessional as far as respecting the workload, showing up on time. So I guess, I don't know what she's saying here. Maybe that, Bridget Kelly was trying to be cool, trying to be a friend, but wasn't keeping her end of the bargain up as far as the job description. Savon then tells Mandy he doesn't want to go into the breakup too much, which is quite hilarious to me. You know, you gotta love when these podcasters do that thing where they try to pretend they're not messy while also bringing someone on who's very messy and always in the mess. I mean, it's like the Need to Know is just constantly fronting about being, holier than thou. We don't talk about that. But when you have Mandy on, what do you think is going to happen? When you have Joe Budden on, what do you think is going to happen? When you have Ish on talking about, what the old pod was like versus the new pod. I mean, come on, man. Cut it out, man. Own your gossipy nature. This is what this platform is about. I'm not afraid of trying to get to the bottom of things and do the science. I don't try to create this facade. But anyway, let me move along. Mandy then says she wishes the best for Bridget and wants everyone to support her new show, Everything is Fine, on every platform, and says that it won't be on Patreon. Now, that is a reference to Bridget taking the See the Thing is Patreon and making it into the Everything is Fine Patreon. They are seemingly in litigation about how to properly dissolve. So I assume all of you people watching Everything is Fine will have to find a new place because it won't be on the See the Thing is Patreon. But we'll see how that goes. Mandy then says she wasn't malicious to Bridget. I don't know about that, Mandy. You kind of clowned the shit out of Bridget. And we got to keep it real. You were talking, I felt overworked. I felt overwhelmed. You was tweeting. You was subtweeting. You was dissing. You was talking about not being invited to the wedding and whatnot. You gotta take accountability. But then Savon urges Mandy to not dive too much into the Bridget beef, but Mandy then mentions someone who they bleep out. Now, I'm 95% sure the person Mandy named is me, as Mandy has a propensity for acting like I'm the reason her podcast broke up, not her inability to communicate with Bridget or her initial eagerness in acting like she was Bridget's bestie during the launch of See the Thing Is, or the idea that she may have took on extra responsibilities from Bridget in order to leverage what she was doing against her. Also, maybe to make up for the fact that she once accused Weezy of the same thing she's now accusing Bridget Kelly of. I mean, go back and watch episode 55 of Horrible Decisions if you think I'm capping. But all of this is neither here nor there. After that, Savon then tells Mandy to not bring up anyone, presumably me, who they don't even talk to. And I will say, Savon, that was really mean and uncalled for. I mean, you got a little pod, that's cool with me, but you've been talking crazy ever since you got that Webby Award, man. Yeah, that's right, y'all. Savon just won a Webby for a podcast where he monetizes therapy culture. I guess he really is a disciple of Charlemagne the God. Now, this episode was pretty good. I think we got more insight into, Mandy's time with Joe Budden. I feel like that was the real value of this episode. Mandy kind of reiterated the same talking points she's been leveraging at Bridget Kelly over the last few months. I wonder if Bridget will fire back. I think Bridget is gonna, I got a prediction. I think Bridget's gonna do another episode dissing Mandy. And she's gonna do it on her new Patreon or her new channel because she needs to make money. Like, who doesn't want to make money? And if you could get a bunch of money by just dissing a former podcast co-host, why not? You just got married. You probably spent a ton on, all types of booking arrangements and all this other stuff. So Bridget is going to fire back at Mandy. Mandy is now trying to take the moral high ground. But all I got to say is you need to know. You look in the mirror every day. Oh, I'm better than Danny from the Stop. I'm not like Danny from the Stop. Danny from the Stop, he manipulates the algorithm. But I will say it's, hey, is Mandy paying for your studio time? Is she subsidizing the studio time? Let me know. The way you doing splits, your pod might rip. Let's talk about it. All right, y'all. Let me know what you think about this episode. Let me know if you feel like any new information was revealed. What do you think about the shots Mandy took at Joe Budden? What do you think about the shots Mandy took at Bridget Kelly? What do you think about the shots Savon seemingly threw at me? What do you think about just everything in life? But like, comment, subscribe. I got more content coming. Follow me on Instagram, The Stop TV. Follow me on Twitter, The Stop TV. This is Danny from The Stop. Peace. We flipped it back.